And now Mr. John Kirkland, our Mayor Pro Tem, will do the invocation.
Hello, everybody. They told me that y'all needed some prayer, so I thought we'd do that together. Dear Lord, as all of these people sit here, Lord, I thank you for bringing them together. I thank you for their safe travel today. I thank you for the food that we have all been blessed with to eat here this evening. Lord, I pray for our speaker. I pray for our fellowship and our body, that as we seek out change in our nation, in our county, in our city, Lord, that you would bless our efforts, but that most of all, that we would be in alignment with your will. And Lord, we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And for those of you who are new, there aren't that many, but there are some new folks. We have a simple mission: to preserve our way of life, our freedoms, and our faith. We do that by getting people elected into office that represent our values. Next slide. Donations. Donations are always appreciated. We have to pay for all this equipment that we're having trouble with, and and pay for our signage and so forth. So $2 or $3 always helps. We appreciate it. You can put it in the envelopes and leave it at the back desk with the nice ladies in the red tablecloth. Next. And Donald Barron. There he is.
How's everybody doing this evening? Fantastic. Listen, real quickly, we're eating, enjoying comfort, while there's a lot of people over on the East Coast tonight that are sleeping in a tent, waiting for their homes to be disposed of in one way or another, through insurance, through rebuilding, etc. There's some gentlemen here tonight that came to us a few days ago and said that they were over there and they witnessed firsthand people living in these tents with 30 plus degree weather. And he said, hey, I just feel like God's telling me to send some blankets, some warmth over there to them. So we're putting together another relief, and there'll probably be more after this. And so I would ask you to consider giving donations of blankets. Out at Rosanke Baptist Church right now, we've got an 18-wheeler that's going to be ready to take some stuff towards the end of the week. One of the fellows is here tonight that'll actually be paying for that and taking it over there. And so just feel blessed, because the people that are over there right now that are suffering are not getting the media attention. They're not getting the fanfare that others might see if in other situations. And so let's keep these people in mind and donate, as y'all always do quite well, okay? If you have any questions, give me a call, but it's going to be mostly blankets, sleeping bags, gloves, etc., tents. These are survival things, and I really appreciate y'all helping out with this. And I heard today that something I'll leave you with: transgender people are not what they used to be.
You're next. Did he really say that? And just real quick, we had a Moms for America drive, as you know, and because of the generosity of Bastrop County, Lee County, and Milam County, we combined all three together. We had the largest pickup of Moms for America, which is a national organization, and it was wonderful. It was food, clothes, you name it. This is a separate one. I will tell you that what these gentlemen are doing is spot on. I have a sister that lives in North Carolina. She said, it's been great, food is good, but the temperatures are dropping down into the teens. They need a place to be. They need clothes. They need sleeping bags. They need blankets. So that's the focus here. And some of these gentlemen have backhoes and skids, you name it. I mean, this is going to be a very serious step of additional assistance. So Mr. Barron will get out the word, and we'll learn more about it. This is preliminary right now. We're meeting tomorrow. And that was it. Sheriff Maurice Cook.
Well, I was invited tonight to tell y'all that I have written a book, and some of you know that. But I'm here to, I guess, promote my book. You know, I hate to follow such a needy cause and and so forth. And I'm up here saying, you know, I've got this book. It's on Amazon. It's about my life. It's called Unlikely Texas Ranger. You Be the Judge. And it carries through my Ranger days. It's got the Davidian investigation, the part that we portrayed in, is in the book. There's an old incident in the book called the Carrasco incident. They're making a film on it right now. I met with the movie producers. It's not being based on my book. It's being based on 11 Days in Hell. But anyway, it's a movie that's going to be coming out, and I've got a series in here, one chapter that deals with that. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce it because I am a member of the community here, and so y'all have a best-selling author among your community.
Thank you. And I know some folks here have already started it, read it, halfway through it. I apologize I haven't, but I'm going to. And they have said it's wonderful. So, and you might even be able to get a signed copy if you bring one up here at the next meeting. And at the meetings, I normally scroll through these. I'm not going to read all of them. For the folks that haven't been attending meetings, it kind of helps to understand the caliber and the quality of the folks that are coming. And they're coming here not because they have to. This is, they're giving of their time, sacrifice, giving time away from their family to come talk to us. And I just wanted to see some of the names of the folks that have been here. Don Huffines is here. Okay. And and Alan West was here last time, Don Huffines, and let's see, how do I scroll this thing forward? There you go. And there are some other groups that we also track that have great speakers. We have a 4-county Trump parade this Saturday, which is going to be great. There are some great speakers. You can see it on the email I'll send out. If you don't get my emails, you can go on the website and get them. The Republican Party monthly meeting is October 28th, which is Monday week, and so forth. I'm going to scroll down. We have Texas State Senator Mays Middleton coming in November, one of the youngest Texas state senators and one of the most conservative. Cindy Castilla, head of Texas Eagle Forum. Jeremy Story and Julie Pickering. They're going to talk about our schools and our children and what's going on. That's going to be a great presentation. And Rick Green, the founder and president of Patriot Academy. We have some others for April and May that are already teed up, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. You'll see them in the emails if you're on the email list. And if you'd like to be informed, go on the website. There you go. And Mr. Don Huffines is here, as everyone knows. I think most of you have met him. He's been very generous about networking. Former Texas senator. He was vice chairman of the Border Security Committee when he was a senator. He has the Huffines Liberty Foundation, and we're going to play a real quick skit on that here in 1 second. And you can read this information actually on the email that I sent or on our website. And here we go.
Former State Senator Don Huffines formed the Huffines Liberty Foundation to advance the cause of liberty, prosperity, and virtue in the state of Texas by educating citizens so that they hold their elected officials accountable. HLF looks beyond the obvious and develops research solutions to the greatest problems facing Texas. Economic pressure on Mexico, eliminate school property taxes, tax education freedom, ban taxpayer-funded lobbying, mandate E-Verify, expose government corruption, demand honest, transparent elections. Few organizations have done more to change the narrative in Texas than the Huffines Liberty Foundation. Working to make Texas a lighthouse for liberty for generations to come. If we lose Texas, we lose the free world. Allow HLF to educate and equip you to tackle the toughest challenges in Austin. Visit HuffinesLiberty.com/join. First.
And here's Mr. Don Huffines.
Okay. Excellent. Well, hello, Patriots. Hello, Patriots. Y'all have some fun? All right. I love coming to Bastrop. This is fantastic. Mel, thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you, all you Patriots, for letting me come speak to you tonight. Well, gosh, is this not the this is like the last minute of the football game we got coming up. I saw this, a lot of y'all voted. You know what happens if you vote early? You miss out on all the rest of the political mail and all the text messages. So I usually don't vote early, but because I love seeing all the, whatever the consultants are sending out. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you a little about my experience in the Texas Senate and some things we're focused on at the Huffines Liberty Foundation. You know, let me just backfill a little bit on my bio. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I'm a fifth-generation Texan, and I'm in commercial real estate. And the best thing happened to me was 37 years ago when I met my perfect wife, Mary Catherine. She would have been here tonight with me, but she's at the J.D. Vance event in Dallas tonight. J.D. Vance is in town, and so we're giving him a, she's going to go hear that. We have 5 children, 4 boys and a girl, and we homeschooled our children throughout their schooling career so they could grow up in a good, strong, conservative Catholic environment, and they did. I have 4 Eagle Scouts in that bunch. I was a scoutmaster, and we had a lot of fun with that over the years, and I got 4 Longhorns and 1 Horned Frog out of that 5. Unfortunately, that schedule's a year old, by the way. The Horns didn't do so good Saturday, but anyway, it's a long season. But also, I've always been active in politics. Ever since I was a teenager, I've had that burning sense in me. I call it the flame of liberty, and it's just burning in me since I was 17 years old. I read books by Murray Rothbard and others, and so I've been active. I went to my first political convention, the county convention, when I was 18, about 2 weeks in Denton County, and I've been to probably over a dozen state conventions. I've been to the last 5 national conventions, and in 13 I got tired of kicking on the TV and hollering at it, decided to run for office. And I knocked out the most liberal Republican state senator in Austin in Dallas County. And that was Senate District 16. It was just in Dallas County, the north half of Dallas County. So I was in the Texas Senate from 14 to 18. I got knocked out in 18 when the Democrats finished taking over Dallas County. Most of y'all might not realize that there are really no Republicans in Dallas County. I mean, no judges, no appellate judges, no JPs, no constables. We do have 1 state rep, but he's really a Democrat, so I don't count him. He's the most liberal Republican state rep in Austin. But anyway, we don't really have any Republicans in Dallas County. But there was a few things I got done down in Austin I'll brag about and talk about. I was always ranked one of the most conservative state senators, top 3, the 2 sessions I was there. And by the way, I was the only elected office holder in modern Texas history, according to Secretary of the Senate, that never took any money from the state of Texas. No pay, no pension, no health care, no reimbursements, no travel vouchers. I even paid for the football tickets when they gave them to us. So because I did that, and it took a lot of effort, guys. It wasn't easy to do. They had to change their whole county system. It freaked them out, but it really did. But it's because I never wanted to work for the government. I worked for the people. The people hired me and not the government, and that's my philosophy, and I'll stay with that. But let me tell you that it's a real different experience being in the grassroots and then being in office and experiencing how that, you hear the saying how the sausage is made. It really is completely different experience. Mary Catherine and I call it, we got a PhD in politics, a Harvard PhD in 4 years. It's really something. I couldn't imagine someone either running the state of Texas or being a statewide office holder who had never been in the legislature. It's just not fair to them. It's such a different place. Austin is very vindictive. It's very personal, much more so than Washington, D.C. is. But let me just tell you, right now we have a chance in Washington, D.C. to win the trifecta, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That doesn't happen very often. Woo! It's pretty rare when that happens, but it can happen with your help. God willing, it will. But don't forget, in the state of Texas, the Republicans have controlled everything for over 20 consecutive years. The House, the Senate, every statewide office. So that means in Texas, as a Republican, we can get any piece of legislation done anytime we want. Yeah, right. I mean, we can. Anytime we want, in 1 week. But why? What happens? Why is it we just struggle every session to get our legislative priorities into law? No, occasionally we'll get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. They're all watered down. We go to the state convention. It's your convention. Thousands of delegates are there selecting our priorities, our legislative priorities. We vote on them all. It's the best party platform in the world. I love it. I carried it everywhere I went. It's one of the main reasons I ran for the Texas Senate, because I was so tired of the legislators not paying attention to what we want to be in law. Well, there's 2 reasons really this happens. One main reason is we got some of the wrong people in Austin, Texas that call themselves Republicans. They're not what I call actual Republicans. They just put an R by their name so they can go run for office and win. I mean, have you ever met a Republican that didn't say he was conservative? No. They all say they're conservative. Well, guess what? They're not telling you the truth. They're going to come back down here and they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to slap you on the back and tell you anything you want to know. And they say, just give me your $1 and a vote. And they go back to Austin and do whatever the heck they want and listen to the lobbyist. Speaking of lobbyists, the second reason we don't get anything done is taxpayer-funded lobbyists. Now, I know this is our priority on our legislative priorities. It's been a priority of the Republican Party now for 3 sessions. I hope this session we're going to get that done. This is a much bigger problem than we recognize, and most folks recognize it. Let me tell you what it is. It's when the governments take your tax dollars and they take your money, they go to Austin, hire the best law firms and lobbyists they can to make sure they defeat what you want to be, your legislation. They defeat our conservative legislation. They work against our conservative legislation. And worse than that, they work against uncovering government corruption. Let me tell you my personal experience with this. This is why I'm on it. This is very important. In 2014, when I won, I was in the Texas Senate. There was a government organization in Dallas County I had my eyes on. It was called Dallas County Schools. Not Dallas Independent School District. It's a different organization, a 100-year-old organization. They had a county-wide tax, property tax, not very big, but it was still there. They had 3,000 employees. They had over $100 million annual budget, and I smelled a rat. I started digging into it. It took me 3 years. I got the Texas Rangers involved, and then we got the FBI involved. We got 6 people put in jail for stealing millions. Not a little bit, but literally tens of millions of dollars from Dallas County taxpayers. And one of the 6 that went to jail was the mayor pro tem of the city council of Dallas. They don't exist anymore because I got a bill done to get rid of them. It was the largest takedown of a government agency in modern Texas history. We got them shut down overnight. Thank you. You're welcome. It was really hard to get that bill done because you see these crooks spent over $1.3 million of stolen taxpayer money to hire the 3 best law firms they could to stop my forensic audits. They spent that money the last three months of the last session in 17 to stop my forensic audits, to stop my investigation, and to kill my legislation to close them down. Well, they weren't successful. But I bring that to your attention, patriots, because taxpayer-funded lobbyists is not just stupid, it's dangerous. It is time we got rid of it. So call all your legislators you can in Austin and remind them this is a priority of the Texas Republican Party of Texas and the grassroots. We must stop taxpayer-funded lobbyists. Let me ask you a question. What is the fundamental role of government above and beyond anything else? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer. It's always to defend your God-given liberties. Your liberties come from God. They don't come from government, as you probably know. These are your rights. The founders of our country were very aware of that. They knew the biggest threat to your God-given liberties was the very government they were creating. They weren't really worried about the British or the French. They were worried about the government they were creating. That's why we don't have a democracy. Power of the tyranny of the majority is still tyranny. This document was designed specifically not only to give a structure to government, but the government that would defend your God-given liberties. The Constitution. We forget about that. But that is why our struggle seems so endless. It's so redundant. You know, we go out there and we fight and we win some elections and things, and it just seems like we're always drifting more to tyranny. We're always drifting more to the left. We're always drifting more to socialism. And the evils are unimaginable. Socialism always leads to communism. Socialism always leads to tyranny. And why does it always seem that the Democrats want to get there today, but Republicans, we're okay getting there next week? Why is that? It's because this is a clear case of good versus evil. This is evil at work. Evil doesn't sleep. Evil never gives up. It doesn't say, oh, well, we lost that one. Maybe they let us win it anyway. We don't know. But I know at the end of the day, we're going to win. God's in control of this. If we lose this election, it's definitely divine intervention, one way or the other. Because there's no one in their right mind that would vote for the evil that we're seeing. They don't realize they're really possessed. They really don't. But most people don't when they're getting influenced by Satan himself. Well, let me ask you something. One more question. Is the border secure? No. Are your property taxes going away or going away? Do you have confidence that your vote's going to be counted correctly? No, and no, and no. Well, those are three things at the Huffines Liberty Foundation and many more that we're working on. As the video said at the Huffines Liberty Foundation, our motto is seeing beyond the obvious. And we're here to solve the problem and not the symptom of the problem. And you have to think that through, what that really means. I'll go over that in a minute. Not the symptom of the problem, which is what most politicians will talk about if they ever talk about an issue anyway. They don't really do that anyway. But so that's what the Huffines Liberty is focused on. Let's just start at the top. What about property taxes? Are you tired of renting your property from the government and never really owning it? I am. I certainly am. Well, we've got a good solution to that at Huffines Liberty Foundations. You know, when I was running for governor, I campaigned on this issue, and I think it really resonated and really made Abbott pivot hard to this issue, and he's really gotten out in front of it also. And I think that's the reason we got the property tax cut we got last session. It was because of the campaign, my campaign in 22. But we're working right now on getting rid of the school tax, the M&O tax. This is very doable. We do not have to create a new tax. We don't have to raise a tax, and we can keep schools fully funded. We don't have to change the funding formulas. You say, Huffines, how are you going to do that? I'll tell you how real quickly. We're going to use our state surpluses. Right now, the state of Texas, over the last 10 years, has an average surplus of 8% every year, and it's really this year. Last cycle was 12%. This year, it's even going to be higher than that. So we take about 90% of that state surplus, and we compress the rate. We buy the rate down. It's going to take 10 years, 8 years, 12 years, but we need to put it on a glide path to zero. Right now, the state of Texas pays about 40% of the school tax. We really think that the state of Texas should pay 100% of the school tax. The school should be funded entirely by the state of Texas. It's very doable and possible, and we've got a lot of white papers on it, so go to the website and you can, don't drink some coffee, then read it. Okay? One of them's 50 pages, but anyway, we spent a lot of time on it. But it's a great program, and it can happen. What we need is people articulating that, you guys in Austin articulating that. But also, let's just talk about election integrity. Something that should be on top of everybody's mind all the time. I mean, I just get very nervous. I just get very nervous when I see our elected office holders statewide, and most of them, not all of them, but they don't seem to really care about this issue. I mean, you can complain about it, and we can do a lot. We complain. I mean, it just doesn't seem like we get any traction out of it. That makes me nervous. I think it should make everybody logically oriented nervous too, because people cheat in elections. No. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I guarantee it. Ever since the Romans and Greeks had an election, they cheat. People cheat. Republicans cheat. Democrats cheat. Everybody, it's just how people are. It's human nature. So I don't get why we can't have paper ballots. I just don't get it. I don't understand why we can't have hand-counted paper ballots. France has hand-counted paper ballots. Guatemala has hand-counted paper ballots. It goes all over the world. They get it, and they get the results out within 24 hours or less. I mean, how come the U.S. could do that? Of course, Texas could do that if we wanted to. But I propose something that I think that will help besides that, and that is there's nobody to call. If you're a poll watcher and you see somebody cheating, or you're running an election, you see somebody cheating, what are you going to do about it? Who are you calling? Let's see, I'm going to call the DA in Dallas County. Not. The DA's a Democrat. The judges are Democrats, and they're really, really liberal Democrats. Their battles, the most liberal person wins their primary to be a judge. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. The juries are Democrats. So who are you going to call? Well, there's nobody to call. There's nobody that cares. So we need a new law enforcement agency. We don't need a new law enforcement agency. We need to take, I'm proposing 500, 300, whatever the number is out of the DPS agents, out of the DPS. We train those officers to be fully informed of election laws. We got a ton of laws. We just don't have anybody that's going to enforce them, and nobody's going to prosecute them. So we need to make sure that we've got somebody that's assigned to those counties, to Bastrop County. And you say, I tell you what, that person right there, those 2 or 3 people, they know everything that's supposed to happen in an election. You can call them, and they call up, and they show up. Democrats can call them, Republicans can call them, and they can arrest somebody on the spot if they think they need to do that. And then you can move the trial outside of the county where the alleged violation has occurred. So you're not going to get hometowned on them. So you can move out that. You're not going to convict anybody in Dallas County. You can move it over to Terrell or Tyler or somewhere else. But I think that's a simple solution to give everybody more confidence. Paper ballots. New law enforcement agents, organizations, officers, they're going to work the system, and somebody you can call and someplace you can get them prosecuted. Now let's talk about the main issue I think most folks in Texas, if not the nation now, is focused on, and that's the border, or what's supposed to be a border. We really ain't got a border. It's just wide open. Well, when I started campaigning for governor, I was the one that started talking about using the United States Constitution, one of my favorite documents, and invoking the invasion clause. Article 1, Section 10 clearly gives the states the authority to do what they need to do if they're being invaded and the United States government's not coming to their defense. It's limited tariffs. We can raise an army. We can do whatever we need to do. And unfortunately, at this particular junction of the world history, it's our own government that's causing the invasion. So of course we should be invoking the invasion clause. But I got another solution too, since nobody's got the courage to do that, or they think the courts, and I think this solution will keep us out of the federal courthouse. It's economic pressure on Mexico. When Trump threatened that tariff on Mexico, what happened? Illegal apprehensions went down 50%. I was vice chairman of the Committee for Border Security and Veterans Affairs in Austin. So we took all the tours up and down the river and everything like that. Border Patrol would come in there, the president of the Border Patrol Union. He'd come in there and he'd talk to us. And he often said this, and it really stuck in my head. And I said, I'm going to pay attention to that. And I'd talk to him after the meetings and stuff. If the Mexicans want that border secure, it's secure. When the Mexican army gets there, no one crosses the river. They can go lunch break or they can go on vacation. And that's the fact. Why is it that the USA and Texas is spending billions of dollars to secure a border and they won't open? They want the border open. Why does Mexico want the border open? Money. Money. Who controls Mexico? The cartels. The cartels control everything in Mexico. The political environment, the government in Mexico City, and certainly all the frontera states in the north part of Mexico, they're all controlled by the cartels. These are the most dangerous criminal organizations in the world, bar none. Plata o plomo. Y'all have heard that. Plata y plomo. The silver or the lead. You're going to get one or the other. You either take the silver or you're going to get the lead. And when you read about the mayors and the chief of police in Nuevo, you couldn't keep one down there for more than 90 days max. They took them out left and right. Now it's about a week. The reason you don't hear about them having their heads cut off and put in the steering wheel or in their mailboxes, you don't read about it recently because it's so common. But you really don't read about it because now they control every single political and law enforcement agency in Mexico. Even the State Department says, do not call the police if you're in 15 of the 32 states in Mexico. If something happens to you, there is no one you can call. This country is a failed state. That border is the biggest cash cow they've got, the cartels. And what do you think they're doing with that money? They're taking all that. No one crosses. The Border Patrol is very clear. No one crosses the river without paying the cartels. That's what all those armbands are about. You know, you've seen them, pictures of them, thousands of armbands. That spins which cartel you got, who paid who, and all that, and they cut them off and they get to this side. This is a premeditated attack on Texas, specifically on Texas, by the leftists in Washington, conjunction with the leftists and the communists in Mexico, Emilio. And now it's Claudia Sheinbaum. He's the bigger communist than Emilio was. She just took office. She's his protege. They coordinate with Washington. Why do you think apprehensions are down right now? Because of the election. Who did that? You think, but that's a coordinated event. This is all part of a big plan to change the culture in Texas, to make sure Texas goes blue. And it's going to happen. And for the United States in general. That open border is generating hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars annually to the cartels. The cartels funnel that money right back to the politicos all over the government, in the government of Mexico, Mexico City, all over the country. And the U.S.? Yeah, probably in the U.S. So we need to give them a financial incentive. Let me just back up and tell you, just want to interrupt I love Mexico. I just want to make that real clear. I love Mexico. I love the Mexican people. They've got a horrible government. And they don't have the courage to do something about it. In 1999, I homeschooled my children. And Mary Catherine and I decided we want to give them another experience. So we tied the mattresses to the top of the minivan. And off I said, we're going to Mexico. And off we go to Mexico. And I'm going to put them in a Mexican school. I'm going to make those rugrats learn Spanish. And we did. I drove all over Mexico. I drove from Veracruz to Manzanillo to Mexico City. I was trying to figure out where we're going to live for the next year or two. And I've decided on this town up in the mountains of Mexico. And we were there. I put them in Mexican schools. They all I made sure no gringos were in there. I didn't want anybody speaking English to them. I put them in Mexican public schools and in a Catholic school too. But so I love Mexico. I've driven to Mexico City from Dallas several times over the years, but not in the last 15 years. But they are not being a good neighbor. This is a war. I want to get real clear. This is an economic war. There's no rules against us what we can do to them economically. We don't even have to use Article 1, Section 10. 10% of the Mexican economy is tourism. Tourism. We spend $2-3 billion, you do, trying to, for the National Guard to be down there looking at cameras and putting up razor wire, and they just cut it and we just put it back. They're not deporting anybody. They're not hardly doing anything. And unfortunately, it's costing us not only billions of dollars, but it's taking them away from their family, their life, their livelihood, and all that's interrupting their whole way of existence. The National Guard, by the way, we got a robust National Guard in Texas. They're great folks, great patriots, 20,000 of them. We also have our own Air Force. You know, we got an Air Guard in San Antonio. We got 21 F-16s. They're fully loaded. We've got Reaper drones. They're fully loaded. There's a lot of things Texas could do militarily, but I won't talk about that. I'm talking about what we can do economically. We can use hundreds of millions of dollars of that money that we spend to start an ad campaign across the world, across North America, to crush tourism in Mexico. We surge it really fast. It'll be on your television, your radio, it'll be on your computers. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to graphically show what happens when how bad the cartels are and what's happening to tourists down there. We'll crush them. Every road that leads to every bridge down there you paid for, and you maintain it. TxDOT does. We can unmaintain it. We can do whatever the heck we want. We can search every truck that comes in if we want to. Abbott tried it. It was my idea. I thought it was a great idea. But he didn't communicate clearly why he was doing it. If you're in a war, you better have a very clear objective of what you want to have accomplished, and you communicate that objective very clearly, and it needs to be attainable. And that's what we'll say. We'll say when we can get apprehensions down to 500 a week or whatever the number is, from 10,000 a day, 5,000 a day, when we hit that level, we'll open the border back up. Every commercial vehicle, we can search for drugs. We can back them all the way to Monterey from Laredo. Every airliner that lands in Texas, we can take every seat out and look for drugs that comes in from Mexico, and it'll take a month to put those seats back in there. Remittances. Illegals send over $10 billion a year back to Mexico every year to help their economy, and it does a lot for their economy. We can eliminate all that. There's a lot of things we can do economically to crush them. 35% of their economy comes from trade with North America. 35% plus 10%. That's half of their economy. Texas does $750 million worth of trade with Mexico every day. Every single day. Well, I think that's all very doable. It just takes a lot of courage. It really does. You know, that border, the Rio Grande, was defined with the blood of Texas patriots. Texas patriots died to determine and define what that border is. We all know what happened in the Alamo. We all know heroes of the Alamo: Crockett, Bowie, Travis. What about the unsung heroes? You don't hear much about the others. What is it that makes the Alamo so special? There's many battles in the history of time that soldiers fought to the death. You know, if your colonel says fight to the death, oh, okay, we'll fight to the death, and they do it. That's not what happened in the Alamo. It was not a military battle. The soldiers there were you, and you, and you, and me. They were preachers. They were adventurers. They were businessmen. They were farmers and ranchers that heard a call. They heard a call of liberty, and they went. When Travis sent his letter out for reinforcements, 32 showed up in Gonzales. 32 mustered up in the square. And they said, we're going to go help the Alamo. It doesn't look good down there. It's not looking good for Travis. One fellow that came up, this is all documented because there are many witnesses. He came up and he said his family was there, and he told his mama he wanted to go to the Alamo and fight for liberty, to fight for Texas. She said, you're not going. He said, I got to go. They went and talked. She told him to go, and he kissed her goodbye. He was 16 years old. His name was William King, youngest guy to die at the Alamo. 16 years old. Another fellow there, his name was Isaac Millsap. He too said he wanted to go. And his wife said, you go, Isaac. You fight for Texas. You fight for liberty. I want you to go. And he said, I really should. No, go, she said. And she kissed him goodbye. They knew it was a one-way trip. Well, when the battlefield cleared off, they found William King. They found his stiff arms around the neck of a dead enemy soldier. Dead. It was in a Mexican diary. It said he fought like a Diablo. 16 years old. Nobody could blame Mr. Millsap for not wanting to go. Because you see, Mary was his wife. She was completely blind. And they had 7 children. 7 children. He left a widow in the wilderness of Texas with 7 children, and she was blind. But he still went with her encouragement to fight for Texas. To fight for our liberties. What was it they saw that we're not seeing? Are they more patriotic than you? They knew that their liberties come from God. And they weren't going to let that tyrant Santa Anna take their liberties away from them. They did not want to be a slave to the government. They did not want to pay the taxes to Santa Anna. Who are you paying your taxes to? You think you're paying them to Jesus? I don't think so. I mean, seriously. You don't think you're a slave? Who owns your wages right now? The government does. They own every bit of every dollar you ever make. And they tell you what you're going to keep. Your real estate, the government owns all that too. If you don't pay the taxes, they'll foreclose. They got a first lien. What about your schools? Government requires you to go to school, kids. Government tells them where they're going to go. The government tells them, picks the curriculum. Government chooses it all. Government trains the teachers. The government trains the superintendents. It's a government-run organization, and you wonder why they're so brainwashed not to even believe in Jesus, not even to believe in this country anymore. 3 generations of Texans growing up, and most of them don't even know religious. They don't even know religion. Our country was founded by religious Christians. Harvard and Yale and Princeton were all theologically oriented universities for 150 years or 200 years. And they're a cesspool of Marxism and socialism. So is most of our schools. Well, patriots, I think our greatest days are potentially coming. But I want you to understand something. This is Texas. Texas has a magic sound to it. We will never bend a knee to no man, to no government, for any reason. Because this is Texas. We will fight until Texas is the lighthouse of liberty for the entire world. We have to. Because if we do lose Texas, like I said, we're going to lose the free world. The Democrats will never lose the presidency if they take Texas. But I think of what I see here right now, if I see you guys, I see courage. Courage is the tip of the spear of all virtues. Everything is about courage. I know you guys have the courage to fight. This is the biggest political battle of your life, I'm willing to say, right now. And guess what? The game's on, starting today. You need to get everybody you can to the polls. We need to make sure that Donald J. Trump is the next president of the United States of America to save America. We cannot let this dream go under. This is your opportunity to do something about it. We got to make sure that Republicans win all the positions they're running for. Even if they're not actual Republicans, that's better than the socialists. This is your opportunity to make a difference, patriots. Our greatest days are coming. They're coming because of you. They're coming for liberty, prosperity, and virtue always. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Texas. Thank you. Thank you.
And now we will.
1, 2.
Thank you. I'll be happy to do Q&A.
Do questions?
1, 2.
If you raise your hand, I've got a microphone for questions. This makes it easy. Wow. Okay. I think you're scared.
I did. Everybody's all scared now. I take your questions. You want to know about the cartels?
There you go.
Stinking cartels.
So,
yes, ma'am.
We had Governor Abbott come to Bastrop County recently, and he was stumping during the primaries for Stan Gertie's.
For what kind of primary?
During the Republican primaries, he was wanting a particular
candidate
representative.
Okay.
Right. So my understanding is he is trying to get his agenda passed because the Republicans were not voting for his agendas. School choice is one of them. So do you think he's been successful? You think he'll be able to get some more of his agenda passed?
Yes. He was mainly stumping for one issue, and that's school choice. I'm a big fan of school choice. I filed the bill in 15 for ESAs out in the Senate. So I spent a lot of time writing that bill. It was a lot of work. But yes, he was mainly stumping for that issue. I think it was kind of really centered on that. And I think that will pass. The question is, what does it look like? The bill that they had last session was a terrible bill. It was not universal. It was just a really bad piece of legislation. They couldn't even get that through, even baiting in the school bureaucrats to vote for it, and all the reps that wanted it. They were giving away a lot of money to buy their votes to the school districts and things, and that still didn't work. But there's 14 of them lost. The rest are on thin ice, so I think he wins. School choice, my prediction, school choice, and we're going to get a good bill. I think it'll be a much better bill than what got out last time. More universal.
So, a couple of different questions. One, back to the school issue. California is what California is because it's owned by the teachers union. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about the strength of the, TASB and the rest of the, teacher organizations in Texas. That's question one. Question two is, with the massive influx we've got Californians that we love, right? Because they came to Texas to be in Texas. Those who came with a job and loving the politics that they left, not so much, right? Mm-hmm. But between that and everything else, Dallas County is a perfect example. And what do you see, if any, momentum is there moving back toward the right, so to speak, in these strongholds, Dallas County, Harris County, Travis County, that are so decidedly blue, and what do you think there is to do about it?
Well, two questions there. What was the first one again? Teachers, yeah. Well, that's one reason I want to do the taxpayer-funded lobbyists, because it's deeper than just that. It's TASB. For instance, I don't want your tax dollars going to go on the school boards, then joining TASB. They're lobbying the legislature. TASB is Texas Association of School Boards. It's also, I know we had some people, Deputy Mayor here, but it's also a TML, Texas Municipal League, where all the cities join these organizations and unions join these organizations, and but these are governments that do it using your tax dollars to pay these organizations to come to Austin to lobby against what you want. And so, yeah, we're trying to stop all that, and businesses also. If you're getting a tax break from the legislature, you should not have the ability to lobby the legislature to get to buy tax breaks. But so hopefully people will be more educated on that, and I think it'll change the culture a lot. And when lobbyists lose over $75 million that they made last session. So, and the next question was California. My experience is the same. A lot of the people from California are coming to DFW. They're political refugees, and they are shocked, absolutely shocked, what they're seeing in the Republican Party. I mean, some of the best organizations we have out north, whether in Denton County or Collin County or Frisco, some of the suburbs, they're 100% people from California. I mean, not 100, maybe 70% from California, because they say the exact same thing happening in Texas that happened out there in Orange County and everywhere else 20 years ago, 15 years ago. We are so naive to see what's really going to happen and what's coming. They're really stirring up people. There's not near enough of them to make a difference. And Trump won't get more than 35% of the vote in Dallas County. Last time he got 32. He might do a little bit better. The demographics aren't there. They just aren't. And I'm going to tell you real quick, I'm putting a tweet out. This election is more about men and women than it almost is Democrat and Republicans. The Democrats have completely locked the women vote. Every poll, every demographic, every political party, we've lost the women. Well, I'll get into that in a second. And Trump's winning 60% of the Hispanic men or more. Trump's going to win probably 40% of the African-American men. I think it's possible he can get 50, for sure 35. And he's going to get 70% of the white male vote. But he's losing all the women vote. But I think that today the men have had enough. The Democrats have been attacking men for 20 years with the homosexual agenda. That's all about making women more masculine and men more feminine. They're destroying our culture. They're trying to make women so they don't want to be pregnant. They don't want to have babies. They want to make sure that they just keep promoting women, and men are the cause of the women's problems. And it goes on and on. We've lost the suburban women. Now we can get them back, but it isn't going to be easy. But I think men right now have said, King's X, you've destroyed our family. You've destroyed our culture. We've had enough. And that's why Trump's going to win. I really think that. It's not. It's time.
Women have had enough too.
I know. There's some great women too that have had enough. I totally agree. We need to get back to how important it is to be a real lady in society. What is a real lady? What makes a lady so special? That's what we want to see. That's what America is ready to get back to. And amen. Heck yeah. I hope so. But I think that is the issue that's going to, and has been. That's what's happening right now. I mean, so that's my prediction on that. But Texans are very naive what's happening.
I don't necessarily agree that he's losing the women.
Okay, that's fine. That's
I
fine.
know a lot of suburban women who are on Trump's side.
Good.
And there are a
Good.
lot of us, we want our men to be men.
That's right.
We don't like
That's
this
right.
feminizing of men in this world. And
That's
we
why-
believe in our families.
That's why you're here.
That's right.
That's right.
But there are more of us than the media would let you know.
Well, the polls don't show it. Right now in Dallas County, the DFW area, our polling is showing, most of the polling is that it's six of the suburban women is 60% for Harris. So I don't know if the polls are right. I don't believe polls really anyway, but that much. But it's not good on the polling.
I honestly think it's not women are opposed to Republican values. I think women have a bad taste for Trump. And if it
Could be.
wasn't Trump, I think the polls would be crazy high on the Republican side for women. And I think it's sad that they can't vote for the policy and disregard what they think about the person
Trump.
and just vote policy. But I do believe that it's Trump derangement syndrome is what we're seeing right now, and that when Trump is not running, I'm praying that he wins. But the next Republican that's up, I think it'll be a landslide.
I hope so. I really do. The problem is we don't have many Republicans in the bench that have the courage. And we look at our previous lineup: Mitt Romney, John McCain, Bob Dole. I mean, I can go down the list. I mean, there's no courage in any of that deal, and you're in the mushy middle. We will lose.
But I think we've got a pretty deep bench now.
We got a better bench. But they're not. Look, I'm not trying to defend everything he does, but I can tell you this. The Bible's full of warriors that were not always virtuous, that saved.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
Trump. I just think that's what's going on.
I agree, but I just hope somebody's courageous. That's all I want. Is somebody who's willing to hit the Democrats in the face with a 2x4. Because
I think part of
we're
this-
tired of losing.
I think one of the things is to speak to the issues that sometimes that women care about, like men in sports, in our female sports.
Yes, that's polling really well.
What are we doing to protect, and what are we doing in Texas? I'll ask you that. What are we doing in Texas to better protect our female sports and our female athletes against males who are competing against them, taking away their scholarships?
Yes.
And hurting them and injuring them.
That is a great issue that the Republicans are hammering home in the battleground states, and it's a winnable issue. In Texas, it's illegal now it's illegal for collegiate and high schools.
Could you quickly speak to the down ballot? Because I think everybody in this room understands it, but when we're talking to folks out on the street, it's not just Trump. Ted Cruz, the demo socialists support millions and millions of dollars into Colin Allred's campaign. It's John Messenger in the Court of Appeals. It's the local races are critical, and I don't think that a lot of folks really understand just how important it is to support and get the word out for someone below the presidential ticket.
Well, of course, as you just said, it's very important to go all the way down ballot. All the way down, from sheriff to you name it, the judges, the constables. The judges are really underestimated how important that is. Unfortunately, we've learned that lesson now in Dallas County. And we lost Dallas County to the judges in 2006. We lost all the appellate courts in 2018 when they finished taking over the county. Harris County had a similar experience now. All the major metropolitan areas of the state, the Democrats run the judges. And when they took over the appellate courts, there's no place to appeal. So when you're getting these crazy awards where there's personal injury, or they just ignore the law and make up the law with these juries and these charges by these judges, you used to appeal it to the appellate court. Well, now they run the appellate courts. So they run it all. except the Texas Supreme Court, which only hears 80 cases a year. So if you're in business, I'm a business guy, I'm in the courtroom, unfortunately, more than I want to be. It is not a pretty place. For me, I'm out there a Republican. I'm not on the ballot. It doesn't matter. There's no way I can go to a courthouse in Dallas County. I'm going to lose 100% of the time. So I hire the best Democrat attorneys I can. I hired Royce West. He's a great attorney. So anyway, otherwise you're really going to lose. So it's anyway. Judges go all the way down ballot. Actually, one way to do it is start at the bottom, then go up. Start at the bottom, go up. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I have two questions. You've preached about the ways that Texas governor could really shut down the border.
Yes, sir.
And stop this immigration flow. That's one of the reasons I voted for you a couple of years ago.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think Abbott is really, well, it doesn't appear to me, and do you think Abbott is really doing what he could be doing as governor, and all the money he's spending with the DPS and with the National Guard? Is this just performative? Is it just, because that's what it looks like? Well,
Unfortunately, I would say the majority of what he does is always that way. At least he's doing something. But, here's a man that's never really had a job except working for the state of Texas. He's never signed a paycheck. He's a judge. He's been in office over 35 years. He's had bodyguards around him, a detail around him for 20 plus years, and that you're just not going to be real normal like that. And so you're just not. You can't help it. He's trying to be nice. It's about politics. It's a political windsock. Let's be real. Every time he goes to the border, what's he got? He's got 10 sheriffs or law enforcement standing behind him, and all these people standing behind him. It's all for show. The whole thing's for show. And I'm tired of it. And you should be tired of it too, because it's destroying the United States and it's destroying Texas. And one thing I'll tell you about the cartels is that what I'm telling you that we can do to Mexico in 30 days, this thing will be over. This economic war would be over. They will give up because if they want to fight this war, they will lose because they need us a whole lot more than we need them. Yeah, it's going to be painful for Texas too, but curing cancer ain't easy. And let me tell you, the Mexico won't exist when we're finished with them. And we can stay out of the courthouse. And I pray and hope that what we do to them will break the cartels. No more plato y plomo. No more. We'll shut off their money. And then we will give courage. Hopefully, it will be the catalyst that Mexicans can take back their country. Either soliciting the support of the United States of America or soliciting the support of Texas militarily. They need to take back that country.
The Mexican people.
Yeah, it could be the catalyst. Texas stands at the frontier right now. We stand at the crossroads to save 120 million people from the hell they're experiencing and the hell they're going to experience.
Well,
does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, he could do it, but it takes strong knees.
So the second question is, our tax dollars are going to, all of the spending that is bringing the illegals over, funding all of the NGOs, funding the DOJ and FBI to attack conservatives. If we lose this election, if we don't get Trump in, is there anything a Texas governor can do? Are there any mechanisms in place without hollering secede from the union? Are there any mechanisms in place where we could quit sending our tax dollars to the federal government?
That's interesting you asked that question because it's a great question. I spent a lot of time seeing how we could not send money to Washington, the state. And I explored it at length. And the only thing I could find was the gas tax. Okay, they get their 20 cents on the gas tax. But the more I dug into it, they figured that out. The feds did years ago. They get it directly. So there's really, I thought if the comptroller got it, we would hold it, you know. But it's not enough money to matter to them anyway. It's $3.5 billion, $4 billion annually. But it's something. Do you know how much we spend a year to educate illegals in the state of Texas who aren't supposed to be in our school system? You go to Huffines, Liberty, and we got a big paper on it. I can tell you all about it. It's about $6 billion, $5 to $6 billion that we've been spending since 1982 from the Pyler case. It was the SCOTUS case, Supreme Court of the United States, 5-4, very controversial case in 1982. Very liberal court decided that every illegal had a right for education. It didn't say who paid for it. It didn't say what we could ask and what we could do. We could ask her, are you a citizen? Do you have legal papers? And that was a Texas case. It was brought by the Democrats in the 70s. The Democrat legislature, was tired of the state of Texas educating illegals on the border. And so the superintendent in Tyler in Smith County, it was Smith versus Pyler, sued and wanted to, and the federal government wanted all the way to the Supreme Court ruled that the Texas had to educate them. That was a long time ago. We have spent billions and tens of billions, if not $100 billion on this problem that they don't spend in Connecticut. They're not spending that in Maine, but we're the border state. We're spending it. We have 64% of the border, and we're spending billions of dollars just on education, not incarceration, not law enforcement, just on education. Not health care. Now, Abbott did come out and say he wanted everybody to prove their papers, their citizenship, when they go to the hospitals now, which finally he's going to do that. So we're going to be focused on getting Abbott focused on making sure that we're checking citizenship at the door for everybody going to school. I'm not saying they're not going to get education, but it didn't say we couldn't charge them. It didn't say they didn't have to pay for extracurriculars. It didn't say there's a lot of other things we can be doing to harvest the money and making it miserable for illegals to be here, but without having to deport them. Because all this started when Reagan gave everybody amnesty. In '86, when everybody got amnesty, what happened? Well, they brought their families. It used to be the worker come, the worker go home. It was a traffic jam going to Mexico Christmas. I mean, you couldn't even get across the river because everybody went home. I ain't going home. And the tighter you get that river, the less likely they're going to ever go home because they got to come back. So, it's a two-edged sword. So the bottom line is we got to give them an incentive to go home. All we're asking, it's an easy message for Republicans. We're just asking everybody to go home. This isn't your home. That's what I think. Yes, there's a lot Abbott could be doing, a whole lot. But I wouldn't do it alone if I was him. I'd go get the other states. A lot of people have asked me, his question was, am I going to run again? I'm keeping my options open, but it's really, there's no term limits in Texas. You can go to this website and you can read about term limits. But there's no term limits in Texas for anything. He could be governor for another 50 years. So it's really hard to beat an incumbent in any position, as we all know. It's just very difficult, particularly a statewide race. It just takes so much money. Abbott spent $250 million the last cycle between the Democrats and the primary. It was over $250 million. That's a lot of money.
So
yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I think what you're saying about putting economic pressure on Mexico, because I hear so many people screaming, seal the border, shut the border. Nothing can be done on this side until it's taken care of on that side. Because you can say, seal the border, shut the border, close the border, and you're still going to have 5,000 people waiting across that river because Mexico's not doing anything about it.
I agree.
My family ranch is 40 miles from the Mexican border down in South Texas. And one of our ranches is 20 miles. Mm-hmm. And all up under the brush are illegal camps. They camp up in the brush, making their way north.
Mm-hmm.
There's a checkpoint that's just about a mile and a half from our homestead. We have to go through a checkpoint to get out there and back into town. And so much of South Texas is dyed-in-the-wool, die-hard Democrat. They've been voting Democrat for decades. And they can't even imagine voting for a Republican. That would be sacrilege for them. And also, so many of the people who work, say, at the hunting camps, because they're big hunting camps down there. In that part of the
It's
world.
big business.
A lot of those people that work at those big hunting camps and places like that, and even in town in some of the businesses, they're illegal. But they've been there for 20 years. They've been there. So I've always wondered if there wasn't some kind of a path for those people who have a sponsor who's been dedicated, where they're not criminals, they're not.
All right, there is a
doing
process.
anything. Is there a process for that?
Yeah, there is, Charlotte, and what you say is totally right. Mexico could just secure the border anytime they want, and it's really hard to have any boundary if your neighbor tears your fence down every day. You know, so you just kind of get tired of it. Mexico can secure it, and we need to give them a financial incentive. Like I said, that's the whole purpose of the latest plan, to do that. And Texas can do that unilaterally. We do not need permission. We should never ask permission from the federal government for anything, particularly our border. This is our border. It was defined with the blood of our patriots. So yeah, no, we shouldn't be asking permission from them, and that Mexico can secure it, and we'll make sure Mexico does, and we should. And so. Yeah, there's a lot of people down there voting Democrat, but I think they're getting tired of that. I think we're making good progress in the valley, in the border area. One more question, then we'll call it.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I want to talk about casinos for a minute.
Okay.
It's been a couple of years ago, Austin Business Journal identified a developer, had plans for a Las Vegas-style development between here and Austin, and that would forever change Bastrop County. They're going to have an airport come in, big high-rises, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see school choice lining up with casinos being the carrot, if you will. Rick Perry is the highest paid lobbyist by the casino lobby, and he is providing consulting services to Dade Phelan. And you can just see these dominoes lining up where to pass school choice, they're also going to try at the same time to pass allowing casinos in the state of Texas. And I'd like to know your perspective on what that would mean for the state of Texas and how strongly we should oppose that. Thank you.
I oppose it 100%. Couldn't oppose it any stronger. And it's first they always use the argument that Texas is going to make money out of casinos of tax. I mean, that's just a joke. Texas is flooded with cash. Anyway, you're going to make $100 million. I mean, we spend $1 billion a day, 7 days a week. It's ridiculous to think that money matters for a casino tax. And all it is about who can hire the best lobbyists, like you said, Rick Perry, come down there and get a license. It's horrible. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. I want to help you out there a little bit. Dan Patrick is a great lieutenant governor. He's the most conservative lieutenant governor in the history of the state of Texas, as far as I know. He is against casino gaming. I think most of the Republicans in the Senate will block it. I don't think it'll come up for a vote. I really don't. I don't think even if they try to tag the bill with it or put it with school choice and bait everybody into voting for it to get casino gaming, I just don't think it's going to happen. Just remember, in the Texas Senate, any bill that comes up for a vote is going to pass. It's going to pass. How many bills do you think came to the floor of the Texas Senate when I was there that did not pass? Zero. Zero. Because I have to, as a senator, you have to get somebody, because of the 2/3 rule, now it's 3/5 rule. The bottom line is you have to get more senators to agree to bring the bill up than actually need to pass. You need 16 to pass, 17. It's 31 state senators. We represent around 900,000 Texans. Now it's about 1 million each senator. But Dan Patrick is a one-man calendar committee. He appoints all the senators to every committee. He appoints the committee chairman, and he decides which bills are going to come up and actually get a vote. But if you don't have 18, 19 senators on your bill, It ain't coming up anyway. It can't come up. So it's the Senate's got a lot of decorum, a lot. I could go over that real fast. You know, if you're you can't bring any food in the chamber. You have to have a coat and tie on every day. You no drinks. If you're in a debate, you're not supposed to touch your desk. If you're holding a microphone, you can't unhold it. You got to sit there and just let those Democrats just hammer you for hours, and then you can't put it down. And we have secret hand signals how we vote. I'm not kidding. We really do. We got secret hand signals. This means yes. This means no. This means white light means I'm going to abstain. And so a lot of people walk by the Senate secretary. She stands up there. Have y'all been in the gallery? You ever been up there? And she stands there. Patsy, she's been there like 30 years, and she's unbelievable. And she's so smart and everything. She stands there the whole time, and she sees how you walk by. I'm a 1, I'm a 2. And you can cast your vote in advance. So I was no. I'd vote against everything. And then I'd turn it into her so she knew in advance that I was on all these bills that may come up. You know, there's 72-hour notice if a bill's going to come up. So I was always a no. So anyway, there's no board in the House. It lights green and red. And it's so fast it makes me dizzy. I mean, it's over there in 2 minutes. Everybody's voted. I said, what the heck happened? You know, but that's not the way in the Senate. The Senate's got a lot of decorum. And you wonder why, real quick, it's a club. And why we lose people when they get there. You're going to send a good conservative down there, and he probably was, or she probably was. But when you get in that chamber, it's completely different. Particularly in the House. They belittle you. They'll make fun of you. They cuss at you. Why don't you just cooperate? Don't you see you're not going anywhere? You're not going anywhere. You're going to be a backbencher your whole political career. You're never going to get a bill done, ever. We're going to make sure of that. Now, why don't you just cooperate? Do whatever the speaker says or leadership says. Why don't you just do that? You can cooperate, and you're going to move up so fast. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be the leader of the state of Texas if you cooperate. No, and you say, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they send the bad guys over. They beat on your desk. You had blind cussing and screaming. I was cussed at in the Texas Senate by other adults more than I've been since I worked in used car shop. It's bad. That is very vindictive. It's very charged, emotional environment, and everybody's for themselves. Repeat that. Everybody's for themselves. Everybody's on an island. Okay, well, if she does real good, if Charlotte gets that bill done, I was going to work on something similar to that. Well, that's not going to help my career. So I'll get Rex to kill Charlotte's bill so my bill can be hurt. You will never know where the knives come out and who's wielding them. It's just politics. That's just politics.
Same in Washington?
Whoa, yeah. Washington's a little different. It's not near as vindictive. People that go up there and tell me that as Austin. Austin's worse. Austin's much smaller. It's much more provincial. And Washington is so spread out, 435 people running around up, it's just bigger, so much bigger. The Texas Senate is really very special. It's a small, a Texas senator represents more constituents than any other state legislature in the nation. So as 1 million people, Wyoming doesn't have 1 million people. A lot of states. So it costs more to run an election in the Texas Senate now than it does for like 40 states to run for governor. So yeah, what we can remember is Texas is huge. We got 30 million people. Texas is a big deal. Big deal. Big deal. Patriots, it's been an honor to speak with you tonight. God bless you and God bless Texas. Let's get out there and win some elections. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Don.